Welcome back to the Taiwan Outlook. Joining us today is Dr. Cheng-Yi Lin from the Academia Sinica. Dr. Lin, the rise of China has been a very important topic for scholars and politicians in the region. How do the regional countries see the rise of China? Let's start with Japan.
Japan used to the number one in the Asia Pacific. However, Japan is facing a very keen competition from the PRC. So in the case of Japan, I could argue that the new Japanese government will take the same policy as that of Koizumi. That is the balancing and also the hedging policy.
Balancing against China, the rise of China?
Yes, balancing. Balancing the influence of the PRC in the Asia Pacific.
But South Korea government is also talking about some sort of a balancer role in the region. What does it mean by balancing?
Particularly in the President Roh Moo-hyung, he tried to mediate between North Korea and the United States, or try to play the balancer between North Korea and also the United States. So we have seen the very weird and difficult situation in South Korea. The government and the people, particularly, they are critical of the President Roh Moo-hyung policy, particularly after the missile test and also nuclear test on North Korea. So in South Korea, maybe the presidential election by the end of this year, December this year, if a new political party become the ruling party of South Korea, that might change the future political direction and also the diplomatic direction of the South Korea.
So for the next 6 years, do you think that the president of South Korea is trying to move South Korea away from the U.S. and moving closer to China?
That is the case. That also the concern, not only in Japan, but also the United States.
How about Southeast Asian countries? It appears to many people they are jumping on the China's bandwagon. Is that the case?
I could say that is very closer to the real case, the bandwagoning to see the rise of China, and also with the huge Chinese market, and also the overseas investment from the PRC in Southeast Asia. As I just mentioned, President Hu Jintao is locking up all the resources in Southeast Asia, from Malaysia to Indonesia and also Papua New Guinea in South Pacific.
But as we know that in the past few decades, the U.S. has been the leader in this region. If that's the case, you just mentioned that China is rising and with other countries jumping on his bandwagoning, do you think that the U.S. is losing its leadership in this region?
I came across several writings of the PRC scholar. They argue that the Southeast Asia will become the first case for the multipolar political arrangement in international community. That means in Southeast Asia, we are going to see the traditional hegemony of China is coming back today in international politics in that region.
So the U.S. will definitely lose its leadership in this region. So will the U.S. be willing to coexist or co-share the leadership with the Chinese?
In the Southeast Asia, I could argue that in the year to come, if the PRC continue to develop in its GDP scale and also no domestic chaos, I could argue that that will be the case. The U.S. government need to face the new reality, but maybe several years later.
One case is important is the Chinese influence in the Korea Peninsula. The nuclear crisis in the peninsula has been causing a lot of tensions all over the world. Do you think that China is using that crisis as a bargaining chip vis-a-vis the U.S. and Japan, or they are trying their best to solve the problem?
I think that will all together. On the one hand, they are trying their best to calm the tension between the United States and North Korea. But on the other hand, they could use that as the bargaining chip with the United States and Japan to demonstrate, to indicate how important Beijing in mediation, how to solve the North Korean nuclear program.
As we know that China's policy towards the Korea Peninsula has been the so-called nuclear-free peninsula. And apparently, North Korea now has already passed, crossed the threshold by having a nuclear bombs. Do you think that China is willing to live by the fact that they have a nuclear neighbor?
Some South Korean friends, they went to Pyongyang, and when they returned, they argued that the people in North Korea, and some scholars in North Korea, they argue that now they have the nuclear weapon. They could stand up not against the United States or South Korea or Japan. Now they could stand up with the PRC. They have suffered so many dignity. For example, several years ago, more than 1 decade ago, with the diplomatic recognition of the South Korean government. So with the U.S. under the Iraqi stalemate, I think the PRC, the rights of China, has been overlooked by the United States government and also Japan and some other country. But with the North Korean nuclear program, the attention refocused on the North Korea. And now we are going to see the influence of the PRC in the coming months.
Do you think that the nuclear issue now is a U.S. issue or a Chinese issue?
I think both, not only the American issue, but also the Chinese issue.
How about Japan? As we know that Japan has been very concerned about the nuclear development in the Korean Peninsula. Do you think that this nuclear testing of nuclear bombs could trigger some sort of, arms race in the region?
In the past months in Beijing, the six-party talk, North Korea have several bilateral talks with other parties, except Japan. So I could say Japan has been marginalized. Japan is under or behind the United States. And North Korean, they even argue that it is not necessary for Japan to sit in six-party talk. However, with the nuclear power in North Korea, particularly in Japan, some kind of debate regarding the nuclear option has been going on for several months. That will create a kind of uncertainty in Japan and also in Northeast Asia.
But there have been several rounds of six-party talks, but so far we haven't got any concrete results yet. Do you think that's an effective mechanism in resolving the crisis?
In the six-party talk in past 3 years, I could say it's the total failure. It did not prevent North Korea from testing missile, testing nuclear program. And still, we are in the process of six-party talk. And it's only press-saving for those parties, particularly among the United States, the PRC, and South Korea, to keep the six-party talk going forever. It's not a shortcut. It's a long-term, long-distance race. So in the six-party talk in Beijing, they are playing very smart. They do know that it's very difficult for North Korea to stop the nuclear program. So in Beijing, in addition to the six-party talk, they also have some working group talk, particularly regarding the bank account in Macau or North Korea. So they do have the separate working group talk between North Korea and the United States. I could argue that maybe in the working group talk between the U.S. and North Korea, they might have some result in the coming months.
But some people argue that North Korea government is trying to use the six-party talks to buy time, and time is on their side. If this kind of stalemate continues, then North Korea will continue to develop more weapons, nuclear bombs, and so on. Do you think that's the case, and time is on their side?
I could say that will be the case as the current. As we have seen, all those six parties, they all claim it's very important. Maybe the six-party talk is the only option, the only channel to solve the North Korean nuclear stalemate. However, not only North Korea is using six-party talk to have more time. I think the United States also in the PRC, they are trying to have the International Atomic Energy Commission agency to come back to Pyongyang again. So step by step, we are going to see North Korea is not going to disarm its nuclear.
Personally, how do you think will be the best way out of this crisis? Do you think that we should use more carrots or sticks?
I think the best possible solution is not disarmament or the North Korean's nuclear program. It's try to prevent the proliferation of North Korean missiles and nuclear weapons to other countries, particularly to countries in Persian Gulf or in Central Asia, in South Asia. That is the most concern for the United States as the current, not to try to disarm North Korean nuclear weapon.
How can we put Taiwan into perspective? You know, Taiwan is not a member of six-party talks, and Taiwan has no role to play in this process.
Taiwan need to watch very closely how North Korean leader use the nuclear option to demonstrate their power to play the politics, not only with South Korea, Japan, but also play the politics against the United States and the PRC. So the nuclear option for North Korea and nuclear option, the follow-up, the debate in Japan. And as the United Nations has adopted the resolution 1718, Security Council resolution, Japan and the United States, they try every possible means try to contain the proliferation of nuclear weapons from North Korea. And Taiwan in that regard could play a very key part in the missile or the so-called Proliferation Security Initiative, PSI. For example, Taiwan, together with Japan and some other country, they could have very critical check on any incoming or outgoing North Korean cargo ship.
Yeah. But the other side of the story is that some people argue that if there's a nuclear arms race in the region and Japan will develop nuclear weapons and Taiwan will follow suit, do you think that Taiwan also has some sort of nuclear option?
Not only President Chen and also President Lee Teng-hui and President Chiang Ching-kuo or Chiang Kai-shek, they all claim Taiwan have the nuclear capability. However, we don't have any intention or preparation to go nuclear. So that is the commitment of the President of Taiwan. If Taiwan is going to develop nuclear weapon, that will challenge those commitments. However, with only one exception. If North Korea go nuclear, if Japan go nuclear, and then South Korea, that will change the total situation. That will make the Taiwan leader to have the second thought on the nuclear option.
So there's a possibility over there that Taiwan may go nuclear?
The most worst case scenario.
But how can we maintain some sort of military balance in the Taiwan Strait if we continue to rely on traditional weapons and so on?
So that is the reason why make the nuclear option so attractive to the leader and also scholar in this country. If Taiwan developed nuclear weapon long time ago, in the 1970s, I do believe that will totally change the current situation between Taiwan and the PRC. But we are entering a 21st century. If Taiwan go nuclear, Taiwan is going to have the economic sanction, maybe from the United States, and also the international isolation. As we have seen, the North Korea has countered in the past several years.
Finally, in the long run, there are concerns about the military balance in the Taiwan Strait, in the region in general. How do you see the possible path or way to maintain a credible deterrence and military balance in the Taiwan Strait in order to maintain stability and peace in the region?
I think the two hands, Taiwan need to hedge the rights of China. As we could say, two categories. In Northeast Asia, Japan and Taiwan might belong to the same camp, hedging or balancing But in Southeast Asia, the bandwagoning. In the case of Taiwan, we need to tackle the challenges from the PRC. So to have the sufficient national defense budget, to have the very quick adoption of special armament procurement in our parliament, and also try to build up the psychological civil defense of this island.
Dr. Lin, thank you very much for coming to our program to share with us your views about Taiwan's foreign policy and security policies. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching Taiwan Outlook, and see you next week.